Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change.
Axios reports things are frosty between the VP's campaign team and the White House just before the run-up to the election, and, quote, some on the Harris team say that top White House aides aren't sufficiently coordinating Biden's messaging and his schedule to campaign with what's best for the vice president's campaign. They highlighted a few times the president's impromptu remarks conflicted with an event that Harris was doing, upending the media coverage that Harris would then receive, like when Biden twice gave impromptu remarks in the hurricane, just when Harris was about to speak from the campaign trail. These campaign sources go on to accuse the White House of lacking someone in the room to think first and foremost about how things would affect the campaign. However, I've been talking about these same things with folks from the White House. They've been increasingly frustrated that Harris's campaign keeps putting the president in a tough spot, like when she publicly picked a fight with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over not taking her calls. I spoke with 3 sources in the president's orbit about all that. They agreed it was a dumb thing for Harris to do, and that DeSantis and Biden had been coordinating on the response. Biden was not going to dump on the Florida governor, whose state was about to be pummeled by a storm. So when reporters asked whether DeSantis should be taking her calls, of course the president was going to deflect. And then the media sounded off about how he sided with DeSantis over his vice president, but this, in their view, was a situation of her making. These sources felt that the decisions that the Harris campaign was making showed their relative inexperience and novice, and while he's been bending over backwards to give her opportunities to demonstrate her leadership, she's fumbled it a couple of times, guys.
It looks like there's some serious tension brewing between Team Biden and Team Harris. I mean, we're talking major awkward vibes here, folks, and it's all going down just weeks before the big election. Talk about bad timing.
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
My focus has not been on dealing with Kamala Harris. I saw the news report. I didn't know she tried to contact me. But I'd also say it's not about you, Kamala. Right. It's about the people of Florida. She has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now. Why all of a sudden is she trying to parachute in and inject herself when she's never shown any interest in the past? We know it's because of politics. We know it's because of her campaign. I have zero time to entertain these political games. She says focusing on protecting your people is selfish. I think she ought to look in the mirror.
The governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's being done well. We thank you for it.
Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich thinks it's just one way Joe and Jill Biden are trying to undermine Kamala Harris in the final weeks of the race. He joins us now to explain. Speaker, it's so great to have you on, and I guess great minds think alike, because I've been saying the same thing. I'm like, this is Jill's revenge. Explain why you think Joe Biden is, interfering with the Kamala campaign, with what he's saying. And also, you've been saying that you think this is a sign of a collapse of this campaign.
Well, I think the combination of President Obama's anger directed at young black men and Joe Biden directly contradicting Kamala Harris, not just in the clip you had, but remember earlier, for the first time in 4 years, he came into the briefing room and he said a whole series of things that undermined Kamala Harris's campaign. And I think part of the reason that on The View and in other settings, she can't tell you anything different that she would do from Biden is she's afraid that if she makes him mad enough, that he'll go all out to defeat her. My personal hunch is that Jill and Joe have decided that their place in history will look bigger if he's the only person ever to defeat Trump. And I suspect also there's a certain resentment that people said he couldn't campaign, and look how badly she's campaigning. And I think it's sort of like payback time.
I'm no insider, but it sure seems like there's some major drama happening behind the scenes. Are they not communicating? Is there a power struggle going on? Who knows, but it's definitely not a good look. The real bummer here is that all this infighting could seriously impact their chances in the upcoming election. I mean, they should be presenting a united front, right? Instead, it's looking more like a hot mess. All this political drama isn't doing them any favors. So, what do you guys think is really going on here? Is this just normal campaign stress, or is there something bigger brewing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you all think about this crazy situation.